All right, hello and good evening to everybody. I hope you all are doing well tonight. We're here for the 2023 golf preseason webinar. Can everybody see the slide deck in front of you at the moment? Good to go. All
Yeah.
right.
Yes, sir.
So thank you all for being on here. As always, this slide deck and the recording will be sent out tomorrow morning. So don't feel like you need to write everything down. We'll just do a run through tonight and you're welcome to reference this, print it off, keep it with you during the course of the season if you would like. But this will provide you with, at the basic, kind of a start to your season here for your community program, some pointers, and it allows you also to answer questions that you may have tonight. So that is why we are here on the webinar tonight. It's myself, the sport director for golf, and also joining me is Mike Sarnowski, our VP of sports. So again, thank you everybody. And we'll go ahead and jump in here. So for the agenda tonight, welcome. As we already said, we're going to do a review very lightly of the rules of golf, talk about some resources that you have access to throughout the course of the season, particularly pertaining to deadlines, requirements and information, info regarding our training coming up. And then also, again, time for questions, discussions. We can share some things that we have worked through together in the past to help each other as we go along the season here. So as always, feel free to put your questions in chat or raise your hand. If you would like to unmute and interrupt me politely at the end of a slide, you're welcome to do so. We don't have a ton of slides, but feel free to jump in so we can make sure everything's answered. There's no need to wait to the end, at least for this presentation, as again, it's not super.
Ryan, I don't know if you can hear me, but it looked like you froze there for a minute. Could be the issue on my end, but
I think we're good. All right. Thank you, Mark. All right. So in the golf management team, as always, I'd like to recognize some of the leaders in the sports. We have Mike Cumberpatch is on our golf management team. He's a rules official for USGA. Also, we have Bill Lowe, unified partner and coach for St. Mary's County, who many of you know. Marty Parks, our rules official. He helps coordinate a bunch of that at the state championship, along with Mike Cumberpatch, and provides us with some great certified officials for Queenstown Harbor. And then also Bob Baker, unified partner and air director for Howard County. So that is our sport management team that we convene when need be to discuss and kind of handle situations as they come up, or maybe changes on how we're going to approach something. So there is our sport management team in front of you there. So qualifying for the state tournament, as we start our season here, it's important that we meet all the training and registration requirements and deadlines. So we'll talk about those shortly. All coaches must have completed all certifications requirements by the deadlines that we will discuss. That's the same for every sport. There's different deadlines for different things that need to be submitted and completed by that time. Each area must host a qualifying competition. We did great with that last season. I think everybody completed that. And again, I'm always happy to support you with that. Please just tell me what you need in advance. We'll talk about that a little bit more on the sanction form example coming up here, but I am here as a resource for you. I know that few counties have utilized me mainly for their skills competitions that they've offered that involve a little bit more planning and pieces to that. So please use me. That is why I am here. Again, just give me the heads up so I can plan accordingly. But I'm happy to help you however I can there. Golfers levels 1, 4, 5, or the teams 2 and 3 must complete a minimum of 2 sanctioned qualifiers. That must be within the event that they plan to participate at the state championship. So there are some one-off situations, and it's perfectly fine that an athlete's partner can't come to a certain qualifier, but they are a level 2 team. So they decide to go participate as a level 4 just by themselves playing 9 holes. That's perfectly fine, but just know that they have to complete 2 within the event that they will be competing at the state championship. Understood? So just make sure that whatever level they plan on competing in, that they complete 2 qualifiers for that. And again, I have a spreadsheet that lays all of that out. If you're wondering where each athlete stands, if for some reason you lose track of yours, please feel free to contact me and I'd be happy to provide you with that information county to county. Again, that is the minimum. So for each qualifier, there is usually a max limit that we can accommodate, but we fill those up as much as we can. And if those do get filled up, I try to either make a call or ask the county if we could maybe bump it up tea time or two to see if we could accommodate more athletes. But those will fill up. So how we operate with that is it's a first to register, first to attend, basically type of events. So once a request for participation form comes into me, I put a little mark on the sheet and upload it, and it states when that was submitted. And for some reason that's not already on there. And then that's kind of how I track the order of who gets first priority. So the host county will get the first priority, obviously. All their athletes that are interested, assuming there's enough room already, they're welcome to attend that. And then from there, we fill it in with who registers first after that. The one piece to that is halfway through the season.
Brian, Jen Minor has her hand up with a
Yes,
question.
Jen, go ahead.
Sorry, Ryan Salvin.
Yeah,
Regarding the level 4 or 5, if the unified partner is not available and that athlete changes to the next level up, the person that goes out as the caddy for that person, that athlete, must be a certified volunteer with the county, program approval for that, correct?
that is correct. Unless the athlete does not have to have a caddy. If they have a driver's license, they are allowed to go out on their own.
Right. Just want to make sure that's out, because it was, some people were trying to take advantage of that, so.
And if we want to set our rule just a little bit more stringent than that, is that okay?
Can you hang on after the call and we'll talk about it more?
Sounds great.
Okay, let's do that. All right, jumping back into, so the first county, whoever hosts it has priority. After that, halfway through the season, we get to the point where there's an athlete that's already completed 2 qualifiers. At that point, we want your athletes to be able to go to more. But in the case that a request form was submitted after your county, and even though that county was in first, we will give the priority to the athlete that had not had the opportunity to get their second qualifier in yet. All right, so that's the only situation where that order would be slightly different. But again, I will notify you and as far out as I can of, hey, I know you put this in really early. Unfortunately, for your athletes, we need to bump them this time, maybe another qualifier, due to the fact that we have a few athletes that need to still get their second one in before we can start looking at your third or fourth. That is how that is operated there. Any questions with how that process is ran through? Again, I think in whatever last year we had 10 or 12 qualifiers. So there was a bunch of opportunities, but again, there will be some that max out even kind of early. As soon as I get the sanction forms from you guys, I post those up on the coach's resource page. Also throughout the season, I try to send out 1 or 2 at a time so you're aware of what's coming up, but they will be up on the resource page within 24 hours of me receiving them. So that will be the best place for you to kind of check in on that. But again, it's also my responsibility to allow you to know what opportunities are coming up, which I try to do in a weekly or bi-weekly purpose there. All right.
Ryan?
Yes.
Hey, so when we submit our forms, do you just want one form submitted or can we split it?
What do you mean by one form for your request form?
I'm just going to tell you, I have people who plan and I have people who procrastinate. So I'd hate to penalize my planners for the ones who procrastinate.
Yes. You're talking about for the request form, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you could submit them separately, that would be best for me.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you submit them together, but separate forms for different qualifying opportunities would be the best.
Okay. Thank you.
But I'll work with you either way. If it has to be one, I'll break it out myself to keep me straight. Yes, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, you said 10 to 12 qualifiers last year or something, but how many qualifiers for level 1 skills?
Level 1 skills is always the tough one. I think we had a few athletes that did end up having to do an in-house for their second due to the fact that there was not enough opportunities or they filled up. Not every county offers skills, obviously. So sometimes that does get a little dicey when it comes to skills. I will tell you that we will work with your athletes to get them to as many as we can. But again, I think there was only 3, maybe 4 max last year for skills. So if a county is offering skills, please offer skills at your qualifier. If you have skills athletes, okay? And again, so if any of your athletes are level 1, they plan to go to the championship, please offer level 1 at your qualifier. If you need help with it, I'm here to help you and we will get it up and running. But please, for the sake of everybody, let's make sure we offer that.
You said, excuse me, you said in-house. You mean we can do our own qualifier for 1 or 2 people or something like that?
That is only going to be a conversation that we have if there is not opportunities presented. Last year was less than what we've had the 2 or 3 years prior. We have had more in the past. I think it was Rattlewood, if I recall, that typically offers level 1, and last year they didn't. And that's usually a big one where our skills athletes go to. So that was why that was implemented as kind of a one-off last year. We will not be going that route unless we have to. And that would be something that we would talk about once we get into the season and have it be a one-off situation if we had to. But again,
Okay.
every county that is offering skills or has skills athletes offers a skills competition at their qualifier, we'll be good to go.
Yeah, so yeah, Ryan, Montgomery County probably will not have a skills competition.
Okay,
Currently, we have 1 skills athlete. So, and we didn't have any last year.
right. Okay, that makes sense. If you could put in chat how many, if your county has skills athletes this year, just for my planning purposes, I also might try to reach out to some clubs that we don't typically use and see if we can offer skills separately. But if your county offers skills, please put it in chat just so I know at this point. All right, we're gonna keep moving here. So as a reminder, no athlete or volunteer may participate at any time or in any manner without valid certifications. So we will, on the next slide, talk about what certification pertains to each individual. But again, that's medical and CDW for athletes, volunteer application, protective behavior, and CDWs for all individuals involved when it comes to CDWs. But the application for volunteers, protective behaviors is for volunteers, coaches, unified partners, and any day of volunteers there. There are no exceptions to this policy. As we'll talk about later on, there's a page on the coaches resource page that will show you exactly where you stand or others stand related to these certifications. So please make sure if you're not certain to check that page. And if you get lost in the process, I am happy to do a search for you or run something individually for your county. So in front of you, it shows you if you are this, then you need this. But again, a communicable disease waiver, which everybody should have in at this time, pertains to every individual. Also, which we'll talk about CSOA on the next page, that needs to be completed by coaches, head coaches. We will have 2 opportunities for that coming up, but only 1 prior to the Golf State Championship. That's going to be on 8/27. So that's coming up. It's pretty much a morning course that Mike Sarnowski or others that are kind of certified to lead that course do. It's a very, very good course, but that needs to be completed for you to receive your head coach status. We'll talk about that more on the next slide. So you'll need your sport specific certification, which is our typical coaches training that we talk about, along with CSOA to be a head coach. All right. So that's pretty much what we just stated here. At the bottom of this page, there's the link that I will also include in the email, since this file will be in a PDF form. That'll take you to the page where you can check all your different certifications. And again, this slide reminds you about CSOA. That date, again, is 8/27, if you wanted to put that down. Just because you sign up for that course does not guarantee the course will run. We do wait until we have 7 individuals signed up for that, just so it can be a collaborative experience, as there is some sharing. And also there's a lot of work that goes into that Mike puts in and or others. So if you're interested, feel free to sign up, and then you'll receive clarification whether or not there was enough to run that course. If not, we will talk through other opportunities for you to complete that portion of your coach certification. All right, so the training registration deadline coming up will be August 11th. That's when your roster needs to be entered into GMS, which will include your athletes, unified partners, coaches, volunteers, pretty much everybody participating in your program. So as with each sport, they need to be entered into GMS, which helps us track everybody throughout the course of the season here. And again, that is the deadline for us. Please keep in mind your area leadership might want a little bit more time there. So try to give it to them a week or two prior to that, just so they have time to get it all compiled and get it to us. So just keeping in mind all the different moving pieces involved here. The last date to submit your missing forms to our headquarters here will be August 21st. And all of these need to be through September 24th. So sometimes there's the hiccup through the season where it's like, yep, my athlete's good, I checked him, but it expires on September 15th or something like that. So just please confirm it's through September 24th there. So that's with your athletes having their medicals in, partners, complete the volunteer application, protected behaviors and CDW, coaches and volunteers having your concussion certification valid through September 24th on file, and coaches sports specific certification, which we'll talk about here shortly, all into us by August 21st. The competition registration deadline will be September 1st. So that is when your delegation members, your rosters and their events must be entered into GMS. Anybody who's not in at that time will be deleted from the competition, which we do not want to happen. So please make sure that they are in at this time. Again, we stick to these deadlines quite fiercely. So if you have any questions, please let me know in advance and not on 8/10, 8/20, or 9. Oh, August 31st. All right. So for golf, we have 5 different levels. Level 1 is skills, also ISC, if I use that in an email, which is individual skills competition. Level 2 is alternate shot, unified 9 holes. Level 3, alternate shot, 18 unified. Level 4, individual 9. Level 5, individual 18. All right. Somebody, including myself in the past, will mix this up this season because they'll do 9, 9, 18, 18 as opposed to how it's laid out. So I know it's confusing. So please write that down, take a picture, as it will help things move smoother. Again, this is also listed out in the rules along with a bunch of other details. The rules manual for golf is a great resource to keep handy. So here's some USGA rule reminders that these were changed a few years ago. So there's nothing new for the past few years, but just as a reminder, when you're dropping a ball, it must be dropped straight down from the knee. In the past, it was from a standing position or the shoulder height. Now it is from the knee. A lost ball, you have 3 minutes to find it. If not, it's considered a lost ball. In the past, there was 5 minutes for that. Flag stick, there is no longer a penalty if the ball hits the flag stick from anywhere, including on the putting green. In the past, it was a 2-stroke penalty, so that has also been removed. A rule reminder with the 10x rule. So a player's team score for each hole is capped at a maximum of 10 strokes. So when you're getting your scorecards in after hosting your qualifier or during hosting your qualifier, and you're writing down the scores for everybody to send over to me, if I'm not in attendance, please make sure that there is nobody. I don't need to see a 13. If there's a 13, please address it with whatever coach or partner handed that to you, and mark it down as a 10x there. The X is very important because for divisioning, if we have 9s, 10s, and 10x's, that's very different than seeing 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. It does change things over the course of the season when it comes to qualifying scores that are entered. So please make sure that you specify 10x on that scorecard when it's submitted. Yes. Also, when you're sending me results from your qualifiers, feel free to use the best method I would suggest to send it to me. When you get your tee time sheet, if I'm the one that creates it for you, which typically I am, and I'm happy to do that, there's a final score place in there. So just put it in the Excel sheet, scan it, take a picture if you have to, and just send it to me. That's the best way to do it. No need to rewrite everybody's names out, etc. Okay. So the one skill station, there's multiple different ones. This one gets to be the most confusing I have found. We'll run through this briefly, but this is also listed in the rules. It's the pitch shot, one of the many different stations. So there's a target area and there's a circle with a 6-meter radius, a 12-meter diameter. The distance from the hitting area is 1 meter high with the barrier, which is 5 meters. So from the flag stick to the front of where you're hitting is 16 meters. So there's a diagram on the side. So just remember 16. We want to make sure we're not cutting it short or making it longer for our athletes. All right, so that as with any other skill station, there's 5 shots of the target. Athletes score 1 point for making a stroke with the ball. If they miss the ball completely, it is 0. So please mark 0. There's nothing in qualifiers that we just give an athlete another chance for that. Please mark it as 0. A second point is scored if the ball goes over the barrier between the upright poles. Third point is scored if the ball lands inside the circle that you'll have laid out. You're welcome to use chalk if an area is okay with that, pins, whatever. Basically, with these skill stations, there's a lot of different tools that kind of you can put together in a bag that will make setting this up very easy. If you have never done it before, please contact me and I can give you kind of a very cheap list of items that can help you with this process, so you don't show up there and like, oh crap, I wish I had this already measured out on a measuring stick or whatever. There's a few pieces that will make all this dramatically easier. So if it's your first time with skills, please contact me in advance so we can talk through it. Here's a diagram of that. Again, with any of the skill stations, they're laid out in the golf rules. I also have little cheat sheets if you would like me to send those over to you that you can print off that will help with your setup. So our coaches training, the details are being finalized for that, but I will tell you that the date is going to be August 6th. All right, August 6th will be the coaches training date. That is going to be led by Mike Cumberpatch, who we talked about earlier as a USGA member. He is absolutely phenomenal. He travels pretty much across the East Coast, leading trainings, along with doing a bunch of other things for the US Golf Association. He will be phenomenal. So that'll be a couple hours long, most likely in the morning. And the tentative plan is the Country Club of Maryland. Okay, again, not finalized. The date is of August 6th, but most likely the Country Club of Maryland there. All right, so the scheduled competitions that we have so far in front of you, those are the 4 that we have. If your qualifier has been sent to me or a sanction form and is not on here, please shoot me a message with that info again. That means it got buried in summer games or something else. These same opportunities are also listed on the coach's resource page, and they will continue to grow. What's really cool so far is we don't have any overlay. So all the events are on separate days, which is great. So at this time, by the end of this week, you will receive a copy of the next 2 forms that we're going to show here that will include your sanction form and also the request for participation form. So once you see the sanction forms go out over email or are posted, feel free to submit that request form, and I'm happy to get all this rolling for you guys. All right, so here's just an example of the golf sanction form. Please fill this out in its entirety. If you cannot fill it out in its entirety, send me over what you can at this time and just have a note that says, hey, I know there's a few pieces I still need to fill in here. Please just get it to me when you can so others are aware of it, but also clarify that, hey, more details to come so I don't send it back to you and say, what the heck? You didn't tell me what time we're starting. Okay.
Ryan, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I was trying to talk to you, but I was muted. On the previous slide of those 4 scheduled competitions,
Yes, sir.
are any of those including skills?
I have to check. I believe the links is, I don't want to say for certain. I will specify that on my email going out Friday to clarify there. There is one sanction form submitted already on the resource page. I can't pull it up or it'll mess up everything up here. That may or may not show if skills is offered at that location. But I will make it very clear on the weekly or bi-weekly emails that go out, which opportunities offer skills, okay?
Is there, we have our first meeting tomorrow with our 33 skills athletes.
Okay,
Is there any chance that tomorrow night, is there any chance of finding out which one tomorrow?
how about I just send you an email personally tonight, since it's time pressing there, and
That would be wonderful. Thank
perfect,
you.
you got it, Bob. And everybody else, again, communication by the end of the week pertaining to these qualifiers. If I don't have your sanction form in, but I have your date, please keep plugging on it. And again, even if you have something relatively filled out, it will be helpful for others involved. But at least we have the dates in, so I appreciate everybody who was able to send those over. All right, here is a sanction form. It's very simple, but again, please fill it out in its entirety. Basically just need the full name of your athlete, and the partner, if there is one, or their caddy, list their level. Again, if you need to reference what level means what, feel free to reference the sport rules of golf forum or packet there. It'll help you with that. But again, first come, first serve. 11 days out prior to the competition if you can. If you need to push that up a day or two closer, perfectly fine. What we will notice, again, as we spoke about before, that everything gets kind of filled up. Please don't tell your athletes for certain that they are going to something just because you submitted this form, okay? I will try to tell you 5 days to a week out, or the earliest I can, whether or not an athlete's for sure good to go. But again, just because I receive this and say, receive, thank you, it does not mean that your athlete's for sure good, okay? But if I know for a fact they've completed 2 already, et cetera, there's a chance that they won't be able to make that next one. Again, I will communicate with you as soon as I can regarding that, okay? All right, so our state championship will be back at Queenstown Harbor. Beautiful location for our championship on September 24th. It will be the Lakes course again. So excited to be back out in Queenstown. Again, September 24th for our state championship. All right, we talked about our rules book. There's also the modified rules of golf for players with disabilities. It's a great information piece there that's also located on the resource page. Again, any questions that you have could probably be answered on that page. We take a lot of time to update that to the best of our abilities consistently. So reference that first, but if you can't find something, you get lost, or you're really impatient, feel free to email me. I'm happy to help you with it. So there you see my email. If you are a new coach, I haven't looked through who all is on here yet. If you know that I don't have your email on my distribution list, please shoot me an email and say, add me, so we can have everybody on that same distribution list to start the season off here. That'll be a big part in keeping everybody on the same page as we move forward. All right, so you might have questions regarding other sports. So Elizabeth Kramer, who's our newest sport director, she oversees kayaking, alpine skiing, bowling, cycling, and swimming. Melissa Anger, cheerleading, softball, flag football, tennis, soccer, and basketball. And then myself for bocce, athletics, golf, powerlifting, long distance running, and snowshoeing. So if you forget who has who, or who has what, feel free to look at that and it'll show you who to head to, okay? All right, at this time, I'm going to open up the chat and see if there's any questions. While I'm breathing through this, feel free to unmute yourself and ask anything that may come to mind.
Ryan, I've been watching the chat. There doesn't seem to be any real questions, and there is lots of good statements of what folks have as far as skills.
That's very
Folks.
helpful. Yep.
Good. And Upper Shore and Howard County, we can follow up with you to see what other options may be. There may be if the particular facility you're currently using isn't a viable option.
So Eileen Taylor asked, where is the coach specific training for golf and when? That's going to be on August 6th. I think I sent you an email about that today. The location is still to be determined. Marty Parks, one of our great management team members, is working on solidifying that location, but it will be August 6th, possibly Country Club of Maryland. And we're looking at the early part of the morning there for 2-ish hours.
Where is the Country Club of Maryland?
I am not great with directions, so don't listen to what I would make up to tell you where it's at. Mark, if you know where it is, go ahead, unmute. You raise your hand.
Yeah, I believe it's in Baltimore County.
I know, but I
Okay.
don't know where around, yes.
Yeah.
It's in Towson, Ryan.
Thank you.
I am not a member there, that is for sure. Any other questions? Okay. All right, so as stated, all this content will be sent out tomorrow morning to you. I look forward to working with each of you again this year. I absolutely love the sport of golf. And working with you guys is a great plus with it. So thank you for everything you do for our athletes. I'm excited for another season and look forward to working side by side with you. All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your night.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Did you say you sent out an email today?
No, that was specifically to Eileen Taylor
Ah, okay.
regarding some info. Yes.
Very good.